Welcome back to Motor City Knucklehead. There's been a lot of development this week, so let's get into it. So we start off with Seth in the ring and Paul Heyman sulking up on the entrance ramp. All he had to say was F-A F5. Seth is electric right now. Coming out with his group of many men, facing Brock face to face, then ducking out at the last minute to let Oba hit Brock with the power bomb, then bam, Brock's on the ground. That was killer. Killer. Also, there's a lot of talk that Braun could be coming back by WrestleMania. This guy is insane. If this is true, that this guy is just a monster. It could lead to a good match at WrestleMania. But really, if that don't happen, Seth is going to fight Logan Paul, which I'm fine with that because Logan's going to lose anyway. And I'm curious to see what they have in the works because Seth isn't even 100% recovered yet either. So I don't know what they're going to do with this mix. Okay, let's move on to the Oba and Brock segment. Oba and Brock should be a pretty entertaining match. I've heard, though, that Brock Lesnar isn't really wanting to lose until he retires, but we shall see because they are definitely pushing Oba hard, which is okay because he's dynamite just waiting to explode. His career will be great, I feel, if they just play him the right way. But that's hit or miss with WWE and how they operate because we've seen them have a hot guy and just let him sit. Okay, let's talk about commercial breaks. Every time something spectacular happens. Why? I don't understand how that helps people who pay money to watch this event on Netflix. It's getting to be where you can only really see a whole event by only being there live, which is dumb. I feel like it hurts your profits, WWE. Why would someone want to pay to be interrupted right at the best point of the match? They post clips of Danhausen coming out to talk to the crowd on their social media, but they can't bother to air it live. SmackDown doesn't have this problem, so I don't understand why they can't figure it the fuck out on the bigger moneymaker. The next topic is going to revolve around the gorilla position and this show that they have that reveals everything backstage. I don't like it. I think it's hurt the business. It's taken the bit of guesswork and reality out of watching wrestling. And I feel that it's like David Copperfield. If you went behind to see how he got rid of the elephant, would you really want to watch it? If you learned how he got rid of the Statue of Liberty, would it be interesting anymore? No, because you know the answer. It's in front of you. It's not a trick no more. And that's what I think the magic of WWE used to be was is that it was magic. There was abracadabra happening in front of you. Now it's just a mess put together by the back team. And Gorilla, they're not really doing too good with the creative content for WWE and their superstars, which leads to bigger problems because the fans aren't going to stay interested. And they're ruining the lead lines for the characters. It just doesn't make sense. And the backstage reveal that is now that everybody knows what goes on behind the scenes, it's just not that interesting. And I literally watched SmackDown and predicted everything before it happened. That is a problem. If a nobody like me can sit here and predict everything that's going to happen before it happens, WWE is not doing their job of entertaining. I say it like this. When you go to the movies, you can predict the movie. Do you know why? Because it's a script and it's going a certain way. And you know that that is the peak, the middle, and the end. That's how that works. WWE is taking all that out and all their great creative writing and they're making it like a movie. Every time we watch this, it's a movie. We already know where it's going. We already know how it's going to end. Randy Orton's segment called it. I mean, right down to the end. It just. And they're bringing Randy Orton down this John Cena road, which I'm not in agreement with either. Uh, because I feel like they probably shouldn't have done it with John Cena because John Cena isn't a bad guy, and they should have done it with Randy Orton. Now you're replaying it. It's like it's It's like a DJ. Put the next track on and then this song plays again. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think they need to be more creative with this show. Both of them. I mean, I just don't understand. I don't. Maybe AAA. I feel like AAA is more entertaining, but I know there's no shows about AAA. I know it's just AAA on YouTube on Saturdays. So that's a different, but it's at the same time it's still professional wrestling, and you're still doing your spiel. AEW, it gives all their wrestlers creative control. They are literally given the mic and said, "Here, go for it." I literally just watched a podcast with Paige, and Paige said that the most nerve-wracking day of her life was having to come out and cut her own promo with no help. And that's what AEW does. I don't know. And then I read also that ripping off Dragon Lee's mask was scripted, and they had to have Dragon Lee agree to it, and he did agree to it. But there's another. Why do we do that? Why do we want to ruin a character? Have we not learned from Kane? Have we not learned from Rey Mysterio? When Rey Mysterio took his mask off in WCW, people were not interested. The minute Kane took his mask off and we realized this dude ain't burnt and he just shaved half his head, that was like terrible. I mean, who would have ever expected that? We thought there would be better makeup there, and there wasn't. It just hurts the character. And then what? Years later, Kane came back and said, "Oh no, look it, I have the mask back and my hair's long again." But 2 days ago, I was corporate Kane. Like that, it just doesn't. I feel like when you pull triggers on that kind of scene, you're just ruining. You're possibly risking ruining that character's mojo. And I don't know. I don't agree with what WWE's doing with all these stories and all this backstage stuff and all these documentaries. And I just feel like they need to ease off on trying to get into that reality and just do wrestling. Do what you are made for. For the last WWE topic, I feel like the CM Punk Roman Reigns segment, I feel like it fell really short of what it should have been. Why would Punk get mad because Roman Reigns called him old? CM Punk is the microphone stealing, pipe dropping maniac. And you're going to sit here and tell me I'm supposed to believe that because Roman Reigns called him old, he's like, ow, that hurt my butt. I'm going to punch you in the head. I'm sorry. I would have been more offended by the other things he said than being old. Especially the fact that Roman Reigns thinks he's better than CM Punk. I know a lot of you out there are going to say you don't like CM Punk. But I'm here to tell you that I definitely can understand. I definitely can tell you that CM Punk is better than Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is riding this acknowledge me thing to death. It needs to be flushed in the toilet, and he needs to redefine himself somehow. The legendary character, it just doesn't work for me anymore. He's not Cena, he's not Orton yet. I just think he needs to move on from the bloodline. The bloodline is done, it's destroyed. You're trying to rekindle something again and again and again. I mean, I don't even want to say this because I am a DX fan, but look at DX. How many times was there a revival? How many times did Shawn Michaels and Triple H? Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed every skit that they have ever put on, but that's entertainment. This is not entertainment. CM Punk getting mad because his butt got hurt because someone called him old. I don't know about that. Like I said, creativity needs to be at the most forefront of WWE's product right now. Okay, for our next section, it's the paranormal talk. And I'm going to be telling the stories for a little while until I start getting some comments and other people's experience. But this is another experience that I had when I was young. There was this guy that used to walk down the street and he had long black greasy hair, very unkept. Clothes were always dirty, black, black pants, black shirt, and he had a long greasy goatee. And we were mean. We made fun of him. I feel like he had some kind of brain damage because he really couldn't. I've never ever heard him talk out loud for real. When he would mumble and talk to himself, it was just mumble jumbo. Words that didn't make sense in together. There was no real sentences. And he kind of like, almost like Bubba from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where he would be like, and squeal. Like he just didn't really, that's how he showed his anger. So when we were kids, we used to make fun of him. And this is what this story is about, what making fun of him led to one time. So I was out on my bike with my friend and we were riding through the neighborhood. I was probably about between 10 and 12 and it was after school and we were riding down the street and we had seen this guy we used to call Crazy Jesus. And he used to walk with his hands up in the air and he had rubber gloves and he always had a bag around his elbow right here and just be mumbling all the time. So we were like, "Hey, Jesus, throw us a blessing, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus," and he would that would instant get an instant reaction out of him. So we rode past him. He like turned around and started chasing us and doing the and mumbling, and I was like, "Oh my God, we're in trouble, man! We're in trouble. We gotta get out of here." So we take off and we ride away. Well, we ride away and we decided like we're gonna hide. So we hide and we see him come back by us. And I really don't know if it was my idea or my friend's idea, but we decided to follow him. And as if we didn't get in enough trouble by egging him on by calling him Jesus, that now we're gonna follow him and ask for more trouble. I get it. That's we weren't thinking back then, apparently. So I we follow him through the neighborhood, down a couple side streets, and he leads us to what was unbelievably his house. And I looked at my friend and I'm like, "Oh my God, like this is this his house? Like this is so weird. I thought he was homeless. Like we didn't no one knew anything about this guy. Alls we know is what we heard through the neighborhood. And we heard that he was in Vietnam. We heard that he had shrapnel hit him in his head. So we didn't really know a lot about him. And being kids, we were cruel. We didn't care. We thought it was funny. And it's not, because obviously he had issues. So, and we had plenty of run ins with him. He had chased us down plenty of times. Just this time, I guess we decided to be stupid and follow him home. So, me and my friend followed him home and we watched him go in the house and we were like, oh wow, we need to like check this out. Like we found out where he lived. Now we can tell everybody that we know where he lives. And it was about like 4 or 5 blocks behind us and another block away. So we went and watched him go in the house. We kind of listened outside and we heard him talking. And then he was like, okay, well, I'll be back. And he was talking normal, something we have not heard from him ever. So that was scary in itself. So when he walked out the door and he started walking away and he went down the street, we came out of the neighbor's bushes and we went to go look around the house outside. And my friend went up to the side door and he's, dude, the door's open. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to go in there. And he's like, come on. This is like a once in a lifetime. We can actually see what's wrong with this guy. We could maybe find something out. And I said, I don't know. And of course, he razzed me and made me feel like a wimp and all the things that peer pressure does. So I finally gave in. So we went in the house and there was newspapers as tall or taller than me and all you could do was walk an aisle. The kitchen had the stove open and the fridge open, but everything else was newspapers, and they were all about Vietnam and that time era. So obviously, what the rumors in the neighborhood were probably true that this had happened. So we're looking around, and there's an upstairs. It's a bungalow, so there's an upstairs, and me and my friend, we wander upstairs, and my friend's at the top of the stairs, and I'm like in the behind the railing edge of the upstairs, and we're looking at each other, and all of a sudden we hear the door open, and we're like, shit. My buddy, as big as he was, I don't know how he moved so fast, man. He dove right into that closet and hid in the closet. I really had nowhere to go except for under the bed. So as I'm going underneath the bed, I see a terrifying scene. I see someone sitting in a rocking chair. Now I'm even more panicked because this person had to see me. So I dive underneath the bed and I'm hiding. Well, it was crazy Jesus. He was back and he started walking up the stairs and he was saying, Ma, hey, Ma. And all of a sudden, I hear a woman's voice say, Yes? Did you get me my stuff? I'm so grateful that you do all this stuff for me. I love you so much. And I'm literally frozen in terror. This person had to see me, had to see my friend. There's no way. So we sit there for about probably a good 15, 20 minutes hiding while he's talking to his mother. And then he decides to leave again. I don't know where he went. We heard the door close. We heard him take off. And my friend looked out the closet door. And I kind of looked out from underneath the bed. And I was like, I think he's gone. And I didn't say it out loud. I worded, moved my lips to the words. And my buddy got out of the closet. I slid out. And as soon as I slid out, I stood up and I pointed to the lady sitting in the rocking chair looking out the window and told my friend that's his mother. And he said, Let's get out of here. And I said, Hang on. Now, this is where the story gets incredibly stupid. I walk up to this lady in the rocking chair to apologize because we're in my neighborhood and my mom is a strict Catholic lady, church going lady. And I promise you that if she found out that I did this, it probably would have been a pretty bad moment for me. So I was walking up to the lady and I went to go grab her shoulder and it was dusty. And I froze when I grabbed her shoulder because I realized there was no flesh, there was no meat, there was just a bone protruding out of this sweater. And as soon as I peeped around, I realized she was dead. And she probably had been dead for a long time. Now, people are going to ask me, wasn't there a smell? Hell yeah, there was a smell in the house. It smelled terrible. But if you looked at the dude, you would probably figure it was his body odor because he was just unkept and filthy. So I never, as a child, even thought this is a dead person. I just thought it was real. I heard her voice 100%, and so did my friends. So there was no way that there was any excusing that. So the minute I turned and checked and realized that she was dead, I screamed, turned white, and ran. And my buddy ran. He tripped down the stairs, and we tumbled over each other. We got outside, and we ran. And as we were running, the neighbors saw us running and screaming, and kind of like brought us over there and like kind of like calmed us down and found out what happened, and they called the cops. Well, the cops came and this lady was probably dead for closer to a year or two. And this guy was going home talking to his mother all the time. And I don't know what happened to him after that. The police never caught him or questioned him or anything like that. I believe that it was ruled that she just died of old age, and because of his diminished mentality, which we all thought he had, apparently not, because he could talk full sentences when he was around his dead mother, kind of really threw me through a loop about that. So it was, I feel like that was paranormal. I feel like that was definitely not him talking. I know that when I was laying on the floor, I kind of peeped out from underneath the bed and I could see him down by the entrance of the top upstairs, and I didn't see his mouth moving when she was talking. And that's kind of what should have like ding donged in my brain, but it didn't. So it was quite a terrifying ordeal. I had never seen a dead body or bones in real life like that. So it was terrifying. It ended up being that they took her body out, and I feel like he got committed after that, shortly after that, because I only remember seeing him for a short while after that. And then there was no more crazy Jesus. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I know there was rumors that he got committed after that because I'm pretty sure that his mom was probably holding them together even though she was dead. It's the only thing I can think of. Let's move on to shoes. So the latest releases that were dropped this week were the 14s, the ashy gray blue ones, and the Jordans with the crystals all over them for the women, which they all both sold out within 5 minutes of them opening the sales. I seen the 14s in person. It's more of a velvety kind of feel to them, and they were really ashy. They weren't black. They were definitely gray and blue. Um, Not very interested in that shoe. I didn't get to see the Crystal Air Jordan ones, but that's because I don't think they were anywhere. And those were $1,000. Like that's a gut punch, and people spent $1,000 on those. They made their money off of that shoe. So a bunch of people paid $1,000 for a pair of Air Jordan ones. I don't get it. Anyhow, that's what people prefer. That's what people prefer. I am actually looking forward to these Jaws Jurassic Park themed. Both of them look absolutely fantastic. The Raptor, the other one's looking like the Jeep. I think that Nike outdid themselves on this one, and I am really impressed. My anticipation is super high for these. I really hope I can get my hands on them. The thing about Jaws is that they run a little small because they're a slimmer shoe, but also all these other Jaws that have come out this year have sat, and now they're starting to sell or sell out, but they've been out for a while. So my hope is that these come out and I can get a couple pair, and I would love that. They're absolutely awesome. I would like to just have a piece of Jurassic Park on a tennis shoe, and they're so lively. It's awesome. And I believe that if you kept that going theme wise with other shoes, you would have a lot more customers. And I understand you can tell me, oh, well, we sold our shoes out. Okay. But if you just did it all the time, you would sell shoes out all the time. They just released a Luca, and I think it's a Luca 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they're called Venom. But they're lime green and black. I'm pretty sure Venom from Spider Man, if that's what you're naming them after, is black, shiny black, and white. I do not believe that he is green in any cartoon. So I think that was a mistake. I don't really like the style of the Luca. Nothing against that. It's just not up my alley. And I feel like Jurassic Park theme killer. Venom, and I understand there's maybe copyrights or things they have to do to get this, but like that Jurassic Park shoe is insane. And I cannot wait for that to come out. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Like, comment, subscribe. Pass the word. I want to know what you guys have to say. Please comment. Till next week, guys.